The January transfer window, we're about halfway through now and deals haven't really been happening. This is due to financial difficulties and the change that Brexit has had on the transfer window, so it's understandable. But now, as we edge closer to the deadline, what are some deals that we could expect to happen? So let's kick off with Patson Daka to West Ham United. Now, Patson Daka is in fact a player that I analysed back in January 2020. Playing for RB Salzburg, he's had to fill the role of Erling Haaland, and he's been able to do it really well. Here's a short part of the analysis I did on him that you can watch in full alongside other players in my RB Salzburg video. These two have been quite similar when it comes to goal statistics in the league. Haaland has had 10.5 expected goals this season and was able to score 16. Patson Daka expected goals is 17.5 and he was able to score 24. Now, if Haaland would have stayed, then there would possibly be a greater distance between his expected goals and goals scored. But what Daka has been able to do is equally as impressive, scoring 10 more than the quality of his chances would suggest. Whereas Haaland would always play straight through the middle, Daka likes to find pockets of space in the wide areas. If West Ham are looking for someone faster with good mobility, Patson Daka is the guy to go for. As we've seen, they've sold Sebastian Haller to Ajax, a player that I liked, but it didn't really happen at West Ham for him, and Patson Daka would be someone in a different style to Haller. Of course, playing in the Austrian league means he's going to score more goals, but with the amount that he scored, it shows his finishing ability. West Ham are currently linked to many strikers. They're obviously weighing up their options. Boulaye Dia is another option. It looks for sure like they're going to sign a striker, but whether it will be Patson Daka or Boulaye Dia, I'm sure we'll end up finding out quite soon. Well, staying on the topic of strikers, and someone else that has been linked to West Ham but also Everton is Arkadiusz Milik. It is reported that West Ham have put in a bid for the striker, whose contract runs out at the end of the season. So with the striker options West Ham are looking at the moment, I'm sure Milik is probably one of the cheaper options. The interesting thing about Milik though is that he's at Napoli, where Carlo Ancelotti previously was before Everton. So that could mean that Milik would favour going to Everton to go under his former manager, following in the footsteps of defensive midfielder Alan, who moved from Napoli to Everton in the summer. Another reason why he could favour going to Everton is that they'd probably seem a bit more likely to get into a European competition next season. Before Ancelotti left Napoli, Milik had been on a good run, scoring 5 goals in 4 league games. Also, with Milik, you could say that he's quite similar to Calvert-Lewin with the height that he has. So for Everton and the strikers that they're looking at, this is probably why Milik is one of the players that they'd like to get. Definitely a deal to keep an eye on. As I say, his contract runs out in the summer, so whether he moves now or waits until the summer to move to another club, we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. If you could please like the video and subscribe if you haven't to never miss a video. It helps the channel and the videos to be found, and it'll be greatly appreciated. Okay, the next player here, rumoured to Leicester City, is Middlesbrough's Marcus Tavernier. Marcus is a left-footed player, which naturally, of course, wants to make him play on the left, but in his time at Middlesbrough, he has actually been a very versatile player, playing left midfield, central midfield last season more than this season, and then this season a lot on the right as well. You could say with how versatile he is, there's similarities to James Justin, who Leicester signed from the Championship also, so then there would be similarities in this deal, a player from the Championship that you'd imagine Leicester can pick up cheaper. The difference between James Justin and Marcus Tavernier is that Tavernier is more of an attacking player, but even with that being said, Tavernier has won the 3rd most tackles for Middlesbrough with 40. In that wing-back role that Leicester play, I could definitely see Tavernier playing in that role, but maybe his heavy defensive contribution should be expected in a Neil Warnock team and a Middlesbrough side that are usually well defensively drilled. A transfer that you'd look at and probably think is a bit more realistic. The question here, do Middlesbrough really want to sell him when they're pushing for the playoffs this season? Maybe it's more of a move that you'd expect to happen in the summer. Staying on the theme of Championship players, David Brooks to Aston Villa is another report that I saw recently. Possibly he won't be a Championship player for long if he gets promoted with Bournemouth. Let's firstly say I can't see this being a deal that could happen in January, once again more of a summer move, and for 2 reasons really. Brooks is important to the Bournemouth team, and also with a promotion to the Premier League, the price of David Brooks would go up. And really, either way, I think Bournemouth know how good Brooks is and they know they can get a lot of money for him. David Brooks should be playing in the Premier League. I think he's a fantastic player and I really enjoy watching him, and I'd enjoy watching David Brooks even more if he was playing in an Aston Villa side that are attacking very well this season. They're playing well now, but if you add Brooks to the right hand side, they just become even better. A player with flair, creativity, can score goals, and someone that got unlucky last season with the injury that he had at Bournemouth, wasn't able to play in the Premier League too much, and I feel he's got so much more to offer at a higher level. Referring back to what I said before, is this deal that likely? I think for any club in the Premier League who wants to sign David Brooks has really got to spend up. Bournemouth probably see him as a big part of the project at their club, so let's see in the next few months how this one unfolds. The next transfer rumour for this month is Yves Basuma to Arsenal. The Malian international has been impressive now for a while at Brighton, becoming a regular in their midfield due to his good performances, forcing himself into the side. He was actually a fairly expensive signing for Brighton at £15 million, but now it seems worth it. With top Premier League sides interested and with the money that they have, I think Brighton will definitely be asking for a lot of money back for Basuma. A hard-working midfielder, good at tackling players and good technique on the ball too. He's a player to dictate the tempo of a match that teammates can rely on to be there to pass to, collecting the ball from the defenders and playing simple passes that can start an attacking opportunity. Arsenal probably need to focus more on creativity instead of somebody like Basuma. They bought Partey, and although he's not being fit, they need to be patient with him. Creativity should probably be a priority, but getting Basuma, another player to strengthen the midfield, can never be a bad thing. The next transfer rumour here is Romain Favour to Manchester United. The 22-year-old is only just bursting onto the scene, but is also attracting interest from PSG. He only signed for Stade Brest from Monaco in the summer for just over £300,000. Where he played as a central midfielder for Monaco's B team, he's playing on the wing for Stade Brest. Clearly, he was looking for game time. At 22 years old, you probably want first team football, and at this age, yes, you probably should be getting into the first team, but Monaco clearly didn't see the qualities in him to do that. But from Monaco's point, it does currently seem like a mistake to let him leave. At the moment, he has the second most successful dribbles in the French first division, but to go alongside that, he does have the best success rate out of the top 10 dribblers in the league. Also, the second most key passes in the league, and has contributed well defensively with a combined total of 49 tackles and interceptions. You'd think if Manchester United, PSG or any other club for that matter wanted to do this deal, then surely it'd be an easier one to do. I wouldn't think this would be a big money move and instead a player that a team could get cheaper. Maybe this is a deal that is too good not to complete. As I've seen, Fabrizio Romano has been saying, clubs are looking for opportunities in the transfer market, and I think with what he's been showing in the French league and how much you could sign him for, he is definitely an opportunity. In terms of the Premier League though, and Manchester United, as it's been reported, if they do want him, they've got to go soon before someone else does, like PSG. Keep track of this one as the weeks or months go by, because I probably think there's something in it. Quickly, while we're still on the topic of Manchester United, there was a recent report that Sergio Ramos could join them. Now his contract runs out in the summer, so many clubs will be looking at him. I saw Tottenham Hotspur also linked. It does look like Manchester United are in the market for a centre-back, so Ramos would be a good option without spending a lot of money. Although Manchester United, maybe they want someone more long-term, and Sergio Ramos wouldn't exactly be that. But like I said previously, it would be an opportunity in the transfer market, getting an older player as their contract expires, similar to how they did with Edinson Cavani. There doesn't seem to be one club that he's nailed on to join after leaving Real Madrid, but Sergio Ramos in the Premier League playing football in England, who should he join? Let me know what you think. Okay, away from Manchester United now, the next player I've got on this list is Nicolas Gonzales to Tottenham. Now I have to say I didn't know all too much about Nicolas Gonzales, but looking at some clips of him and looking at the style of player that he is, he's the kind of attacker with a lot of flair and really quick feet. For example, he's looking to move to the right and then he quickly cuts to the left, something that even when you just watch short clips of him, you notice he does a lot. He's still only 22 years old, so a lot of time to grow and develop. So far for Stuttgart in the Bundesliga, he has 5 goals and 2 assists. He does look like the real deal, and whatever league he's in, he will give the defenders a hard time not knowing which way he'll cut next. That isn't the kind of trait that will only work in one league. If he joins the Premier League, he'll continue to do that. As long as he can find space to run into, I think he'll be fine, and he'll definitely get that in a Tottenham team that are looking to counter-attack as often as possible. Breaking on the counter with Gonzales, currently it's Son who has all the speed, but they could add to that with Gonzales, and I think he'd become a good asset to Mourinho. According to The Athletic, there is also interest from Juventus, so it won't be an easy deal, but maybe it's a deal worth doing, with some reports suggesting something around the region of £25 to £30 million. In today's market, that's a good deal for a player that could have an impact on the team. Another Tottenham rumour is Eder Militao from Real Madrid on loan. Also linked to him though is Liverpool, who are looking for a centre-back. Now this does seem like a realistic transfer, with Real Madrid not playing him. Loan deals are probably favoured by clubs in this transfer window, and Eder Militao will of course want minutes. At Real Madrid, he was signed for £45 million from Porto after impressing over in Portugal. A player that is dominant in the air and is strong, he would be a good asset in a defensive Jose Mourinho side. But even with this being a loan deal, I think it'll be a hard one because of the competition for him. A deal I could personally see going through in the next few weeks, so one to keep an eye on. Newcastle United have recently been linked to Leicester City's midfielder Hamza Choudhury. Currently he isn't getting game time at Leicester. When indeed he was out of the team, it was actually Mendy who stepped in for him. So in terms of availability, I definitely think he's someone that Leicester will be open to leaving the club. He's a defensive type of midfielder, which is why I would question Newcastle buying him. They are are a defensive team. Steve Bruce wants to play defensive, and we know this. But they need to find ways of attacking better, and I think this can come in the midfield. Well, they might not get anywhere with performances like they had against Sheffield United. Hamza Choudhury would add some tenacity and aggressiveness to the midfield, and I think he deserves to play a bit more. He probably feels like the time is right to move on from Leicester City, and maybe Newcastle is a good option for him. But from a Newcastle standpoint, I would like to see them being a bit more positive and getting someone who can be more effective in attack. A player linked to Southampton and Leicester City is Matias Fanberg, a Swedish international who used to play for Malmo but moved to Italy to play for Bologna in 2018, and ever since has been slowly growing into the team. He's been used in various positions in the midfield, last year playing a more attacking role. In that position, he'd have the freedom of going onto the left and the right, but this season, instead of attacking midfield, he's playing a little deeper in a left central midfield role. Being 22, he's still got a lot to develop, and he seems to have the ability of being a well-rounded midfielder. There is also talks that AC Milan are interested in him, and he is the type of player you'd expect Southampton or Leicester to make, a young player with potential that they can pick up on a cheaper deal and look to develop at the club. Comment below, who would you like to see transfer to the Premier League in January? I recommend that you don't miss out on future videos. Subscribe to Route 1 and like the video if you did enjoy.